following story is entitled Guy, Donut, and it's from the book called I Work at the Public Library, based off the blog by the same name, where real librarians share stories of patron interactions that have actually happened. You know those shows where someone throws a dart at a map and goes to that town, chooses someone random out of the phone book, and finds something remarkable about them and does a story on them? I had an experience like that. Only the remarkable person wandered into my library looking for donuts. Let me back up a minute. An older man came up to me at the reference desk asking for the location of the nearest Krispy Kreme. I'm 83 years old and I decided it was time to get a donut. Good idea, I say as I type Krispy Kreme into a search engine. Oh, it looks like the nearest one is 134 miles away. Is that right? I was willing to drive a little way, but sometimes they sell them at grocery stores and gas stations. Let me check. And after another search to no avail, I called the corporate number and found out the stores that sold them were even farther away. Well, thanks for trying. And I hate not giving people the answer they want, so I said, I'm going to Los Angeles this weekend, and they're bound to have some there, so why don't you call me on Monday morning at 9 a.m. and ask if I have some donuts for you? I couldn't ask you to do that. But you didn't ask, and you're 83 years old. So I wrote my name and the library's phone number on a piece of paper and gave it to him. After a lovely weekend in Los Angeles, I stopped at the Krispy Kreme in Burbank, where I ordered a dozen glazed donuts for him and a few chocolate ones for me. Sure enough, on Monday morning, he called and I answered, I've got a dozen little somethings for you. So he came into the library looking so excited and grateful and pulled out a neat stack of money. Not a wad, a stack. But I had a plan to avoid an awkward money exchange. I won't accept your money, but if you can tell me one interesting story about yourself, I'll let you off the hook. So we broke all the rules and started eating donuts right there in the library. As it turns out, Bob had been an editor for his steel company's magazine back in the 50s when the Cold War was brewing. The United States government decided to send 11 men on an expedition to Russia as a sort of cultural exchange to spy on them. They asked a businessman, an athlete, and a few others, and decided to ask a magazine editor. Bob was nominated. As it turns out, Bob was not only an award-winning editor, he is also a freelance photographer who'd won several awards. He was in Russia for 6 months and took over 3,000 color photos of everything he could get in his sights, including the Kremlin. Sometimes he would keep his camera in his coat pocket and cough to cover the sound of the shutter. When he got back to the United States, the government took possession of over 250 photos. 250! And so, when he got back, he made a documentary film about his experience. He won several civilian awards, and he was asked to speak and show his film all over the country. When he finished his story, I looked at him and said, "You're a spy!" "Oh, I'm just an old man who wanted a donut." "Well, now you've got 11, so get out there and save the world." "Well, you call me if there's ever anything you need, you hear?" And then he looks at my coworker and says, "Isn't she remarkable?"